Good morning. Good morning. I'm delighted to be here with you today. I'm very honored to have David Lubas as my introductory speaker. So now that he's suitably warmed you up, I'd like to turn your attention to this grand topic, brands, YouTube, and culture, and draw a few themes out of this. You've got some footage here of what was one of the biggest YouTube phenomena of last year, and I think one of the biggest cultural phenomena. This swept the world, everybody got involved, and was dumping ice buckets of water all over each other. So this is my theme today. My basic argument to you today is that as brands building value, telling stories to build brand value, YouTube is obviously a fantastic place to go. And my argument is basically that the reason it's such a fantastic place to go and to use as a tool and as a medium and as a channel is because it works at a cultural level. It connects people via our common culture. So I'm going to start off with a few examples from here and there that I think just bring this to life. I'm going to start off with this gentleman here from the UK. His name is Will Reed, and he's in his bathroom at home. Let Will take it away.
Hi, this is a video for my kids. This is the first in a series of instructional videos to help them with life. Obviously me telling them face to face is not working, so I've tried to be creative, and I've come up with the idea of using social media to try and reach you. So this first instructional video is number one in the series, how to change the toilet roll. I know this is a difficult one, so James and Beth, please pay attention. Okay, the first thing you've got to do is you've got to find a new toilet roll. Second thing is, this is the toilet roll holder. Now as you can see, there's an empty one already on there. So the first thing you have to do is remove this empty one, like this. Just slips off like that. And then we take the toilet roll and we place it on there like that. Now that's really all there is to it, so make sure you watch that a few times. The advanced level would be to actually take the empty toilet roll holder and put it in the bin. I feel that might be just a step too far at the moment, so we'll keep it as is at the moment, but thank you very much for watching.
So there you go. That gentleman's called Will Reed from the UK. I think Will's actually understood quite a few things about the world we're living in. He's talking about how to reach his audience. He knows YouTube's a good place to go. He's talking about series of content. This is the first in a series of instructional videos. And he's having a conversation with his kids because they're not listening otherwise. He's smarter than we think he is, there, old Will. I can sympathize. I've got a 9-year-old who's going on 16. Let's move from Will. So this is my interactive moment. A question for you. Can anyone guess who said that and who it was said to? Your voice is more powerful than the President of the United States. Who might have said that? Any guesses? Over to you. Shout them out. Sorry? Who is it? Who said this? Who said this? Fantastic, sir. You've won a Chromecast. There you go. You can come and pick up your Chromecast. Congratulations. This was said by Barack Obama, President of the United States, and he said this to a YouTube creator. Let's have a look. So he comes off the stage. He's just done his State of the Union speech, the most important moment of his political year, and he walks into a YouTube creators studio. He doesn't go to Fox News or CNN or anybody like that. He goes to a YouTube studio.
Mr.
Obama.
You know, the President of the United States.
My subscribers want to know about education,
The lack of jobs for college graduates.
the economy,
Racial profiling, that's a good one. Net neutrality.
unemployment.
Peanut butter or jelly. Finally, Mr. President.
Who's your favorite YouTube creator?
So here's the world's most powerful man going for a chat with Hank and Bethany and Glozell, who have got 8 and 3 and 5 million subscribers on their YouTube channels. And they're normally making videos about the hairstyle that's right for you when you're running late to school. Okay? So this is a huge cultural shift. Hold on, something's changed in the world. If the most powerful man in the world is suddenly having a fireside chat with a girl who's normally fussing about her hairstyle. This is pretty interesting stuff. So we've got the personal. We've got the political. How about business? How about good old-fashioned brands who are in the business of making money? Let's look to Hollywood. Okay? Box office and DVD sales and rentals, about a $30 billion business each year, give or take a few bucks. This is the way they used to do business. Traditional media, launch your movie, roll it out. It's all about the first weekend, box office sales, sink or swim. And suddenly, we find ourselves in a world where a big production gets launched in this way instead. And okay, there was a bit of a threat from nuclear powers across the world and so on. But again, I think that's a seismic shift in the cultural waters that we're trying to swim in. So the common thing between these three events, Will in his bathroom, Barack coming off his State of the Union speech, and the interview being launched on YouTube first, where, by the way, it was Sony's most successful ever digital launch, is that it's all about culture. These things work because they're using YouTube because it's a great way to transmit ideas and tell stories and connect with people through this messy stuff called human culture. I think that's a really interesting thing that's going on in the world today. So I dug into this a bit, and I thought I'd share a few ideas with you. First of all, where do we get this idea of culture? We've got cultural studies. People talk about the culture wars. We've got local culture, brand culture, corporate culture. You know, culture's a big thing. Everyone's talking about it. This was the first guy to talk about it. Way back in ancient Rome, Marcus Tullius Cicero. His name, by the way, means chickpeas, so it's lovely in the land of hummus to be talking about a guy whose name means chickpeas. So he was the first one to use this phrase of cultura animi, the culture of the soul. So he was sitting in his farmhouse back in 40, he was born in 106 BC. In 45 BC, he wrote a series of books when he's sitting in his farmhouse about bringing the old Greek Stoic culture to Rome, to modern Rome as it was back then. Today he'd probably be on YouTube talking into the camera, but back then he was writing books. So he wrote these series of books, and he talked about this phrase of the culture of the soul. So what's interesting about that? I'm going to talk to you about three things that I think are interesting, at least. Culture is about the stuff that touches us as human beings, deep in our soul, the cultura animi. What touches us? What touches us as human beings? It's about our passions. Culture embodies our passions. Culture is about conversations. When we're passionate about something, we want to talk about it, we want to exchange, we want to share, and so that builds conversations, and those are interesting conversations. And then culture is organic and messy, and it bubbles up because it comes from human beings who are all different. And so, of course, it's going to vary from place to place to place, but also it's going to change over time. It's fluid, it's organic, it shifts. So keep those three things in mind. I'll address each of them. So talking about passions and conversations and trends. I think it's probably no accident. You can see already how YouTube actually is pretty good at these three things as well. It's about fueling people's passions. We can tap into conversations that are going on in the world. We can create conversations or build on them and amplify them. And of course, it's about the latest trends as well. So YouTube today is simply where the world goes for video. It's the go-to place. I want to find something out. It's the world's second search engine, so increasingly people are not even going to Google, they're going to YouTube just to find the answers to stuff they want to know. What's the meaning of life? How do I fix a car? How do I do something? What's funny? Show me the latest cat video. It's where the world goes for video today. It's where they go to watch video, to search for video, to share video, and we're doing it on any device. A couple of numbers for you. 300 hours of content uploaded every minute. Massive. Over 50% of views on mobile and rising. We're in a region here, Saudi, of course, biggest consumer of video. 65% of views in Saudi Arabia on mobile. 1 billion unique viewers each month, and of course, those numbers are growing 40 to 50% each year. So this is absolutely massive. And I think it's fair to say that video today is simply the shared language of human culture. It's how we do the stuff that makes us human and all of our activities that form our culture. A couple of examples here. Video is now becoming, thanks to Salman Khan and his Khan Academy, the language of learning. Salman Khan here is teaching people, how does Usain Bolt run so damn fast? And he's talking about Newtonian science and Leibniz and drawing all of these complicated graphs and telling you, helping you understand the forces and the physical forces. Why does that matter, by the way? That matters because he is completely changing the role of a teacher in the classroom. He's freeing up time in the classroom so that you can do group activities and coaching rather than just transmitting information. He's reprocess engineering education. That's a pretty big thing that he's doing there. It's not just about having fun and watching videos. This is changing education. So video's becoming the language of learning. Video is where we go to be amazed. I mentioned Saudi Arabia earlier. There's thousands of hours of guys taking their Jeeps on two wheels, driving them through the desert. And this is what I find really amazing is that these guys are doing it barefoot. If I were changing the tires on my Jeep in the desert, I'd wear some sturdy shoes in case I fell off. But no, these guys are doing it barefoot. So video is now the language of where we go to be amazed. I mentioned cat videos. You've got to have cat videos. It's where we go to be entertained. So, of course, we've got cats on vacuum cleaners running around. And what I love is, in fact, not just that it's a cat on a vacuum cleaner, but that it's assorted, color-matched, not just to the baby, but also to the wallpaper. This is just genius. This is wonderful. Human culture at its very best here. So video is the language of entertainment and of self-expression. We've all got stuff on our hearts that we want to say. We've all got a message we want to give to the world. So this was a phenomenon that hit a couple of years ago. It was called The Message. It was simply an invitation to young people around the world. Tell us what's your message to the world? What do you want to say? So everyone got out their felt pens, wrote it on their hand, and you get very low-quality images on the webcam. But this is a huge worldwide cultural phenomenon. People expressing what's on their minds, what they've got in their hearts, and expressing it to the world. So video is the language of self-expression.
Hey everybody, how's it going? My name's James, and today we're going to be covering how to stay alive longer in Call of Duty Ghosts. In this guide, I'll be showing you how to get lots of kills and even keep your kill streak without having to worry about dying nearly as much. I'm going to be going over the playstyles, classes, kill streaks, and even game modes to play.
And sharing as well. This guy's an expert in gaming, how to get the maximum number of kills. If you're into getting the maximum number of kills, he's sharing his knowledge and coaching other people. And of course, any kind of knowledge base is now being shared as well through video on pretty much any subject. So sharing and connecting with people as well. It's about community. An example from the region here, Maggie Diaries. You had a group of women traveling the world around and cooking food together because, of course, cooking food together and sharing food together is about connecting at a human level.
شو أخبارك؟ أول شيء شو هالأكلة؟ شيء بيطير العقل كثير
الحمد لله رب العالمين.
يعني ما شاء الله الحين المطعم في العائلة من زمان؟
مطعم صار له 56 بس احنا هاي ابا عن جد يعني.
الفلافل سر القدر
Back to the chickpeas from the
في العائلة يعني من زمان ولا كيف؟
يعني هاي طريقة الوالد صح؟
الولد يعني انا صار واحد اثنين يعني
هو اللي اخترعها.
نوع البهارات كتب لي اياهم على واحد اثنين ثلاثة أربعة.
وين هاي الورقة؟
This is all good stuff. This is the culture of, this is the fabric of human culture in a specific region, a voyage of discovery connecting people through food. This is fantastic cultural stuff. So YouTube, I think it's fair to say, changes the media landscape. What does that mean for us as brand builders, as communicators in the creative industry, in the creative world, if you like? So YouTube changes the media landscape. It changes the way that we need to conceive of content, how we're going to produce that content, the speed at which we produce that content, of course, how we distribute it and get it out there and let people find it, how people are then going to consume that content, on what device they're going to do it, and then people are going to want to participate as well, to take part in that conversation and maybe produce some content of their own. and on it goes. So all through the value chain, if you like, of content, there are changes and rethinking that needs to happen. So at Google, we love to start with users, start with the user, and all good things will follow. And so the role of the user, in fact, is shifting in quite an important way. So where you used to have passive viewers, of course, you now have active, leaning forward fans who are deeply engaged because it's about stuff they're passionate about. And that's a huge shift, of course, which I think we all know about. So one consequence of that, the stars that this kind of system throws up across the media landscape today. YouTube stars are simply mainstream stars. You've got Michelle Phan and Rosanna and Bethany, and they've got 7 and 3 and I think 8 million subscribers on their YouTube channels. These people are simply mainstream stars today. When they go shopping, there's a roadblock and they need to call in the police to control the crowds. So they're not some minor niche for a few teenagers. These are mainstream stars. Let me give you another example of that. These guys in the UK, the slow-mo guys, a couple of teenagers, Gav and Dave, who are kind of like, if you're a 16-year-old UK guy, they're pretty much like you, except they've had a great idea, which is take stuff that's sitting around your home and blow it up and film it in slow motion and produce content out of it. Stuff like this.
It looked like a bloody explosion in space with stuff flying out of it. See that? There's your face shot. Oh, nice. You did. It's like. That looks badass. It's cool. That's cool.
So that's what they do. They take. I think he's. Yeah, it's pretty cool. A nice bass on this stage as well. You can feel that. I think he's taking corn flour starch that probably sits in everybody's kitchen cabinet, blowing it onto a flame, and the thing blows up in dramatic stuff around the house. Let's blow it up and see what happens. It's cool. So it's badass and it's cool. They're sitting on a business empire. They've got over 5 million subscribers who are tuning into their content every week. And this was one of the headlines just the other week. They've just so YouTube stars, the slow-mo guys, featured in Rovio's retro retry game. These are the guys who make Angry Bird games. Yeah? So headline news, big deal. That's a screen grab of the gameplay. So you've got YouTube and the slow-mo guys hard-coded into this major release of a new video game. You can watch their content. Of course, there's a big advertising deal, so you can find more of their content around the game. These guys are millionaires. They're raking it in. Of course, you can buy their T-shirts and so on and so forth. These are the new business entrepreneurs of our age. They're smart guys. I wish I had been that smart when I was 16. So, 3 lessons for brands. I'm going to come back to the themes I mentioned earlier, give you some takeaways, if you like. The first point I mentioned was about passions. So, because YouTube is about fueling people's passions, you can reach your audience via their passions. People are there looking, searching for the stuff they care about, that they're interested in. And so your content will connect with people who are looking for it, and as more people watch it, it'll go up into the most watched lists, and it snowballs, and it'll become even more visible. So it's easier and easier, and that continues as time goes on. The videos don't get deleted unless someone deletes them, so you'll get more and more people finding and connecting with the content that is about the stuff they deeply care about. Thanks, culture. That's working for me in terms of a brand wanting to reach an audience. So reach your audience via their passions. Quick example there. Who's a fan of Mad Men? Yeah, love it. Passionate fans. Mad Men have taken, they've learned a lesson from what George Lucas finally got around to doing with his passionate fans of Star Wars when he did Star Wars Uncut. All of these people were reshooting scenes from Star Wars, and he threw the lawyers at them for a bit, and then worked out, let's be their friends. So he created Star Wars Uncut. So we've got here Mad Men, the fan cut, it works like this. They've taken the very first ever pilot episode of Mad Men and broken it down scene by scene and launched the invitation to their passionate fans, reshoot the scene. Go and shoot your Don Draper scene, and we'll cobble together the entire first episode, and it's all powered by YouTube. So scene by scene, that's the first ever episode. Here's an example of one scene.
It's not just research, Miss Macon. Housewives love coupons.
I'm not interested in housewives.
Well, what kind of people do you want?
I'm interested in your kind of people, Mr. Draper. People who don't care about coupons or whether or not they can afford it. People who are coming to the store because it is expensive.
We obviously have very different ideas.
Yes, like the customer is always right.
I think Don Draper loses a little bit of sex appeal in translation. But never mind, the fans are passionate about this. So the first point there, reach your audience through their passions. Second point was about conversations. People are having conversations out there. That's what culture is. It's a bunch of conversations about stuff that deeply touches us as human beings. Now, people are having some conversations about your brands, and that's fine, and you need to be part of those conversations. But also there are wider conversations out there that society, culture as a whole is having. So you need to be part of those conversations, because being part of them will simply give you greater relevance and greater impact, and at a different level as well. What day was yesterday, by the way, apart from Monday? International Women's Day. Thank you very much. So, there's a cultural conversation going on.
To every woman who gave birth, to every taxpayer and citizen of this nation, we have fought for everybody else's equal rights. It's our time to have wage equality once and for all, and equal rights for women in the United States of America.
Okay, so that's a big cultural context. The world is having a huge conversation about the role of women and of young women. You had Dove and the girl thing, and the Oscars ceremony there going on, and Malala with her book, and we know in this region it's about women driving in Saudi Arabia, and no woman, no drive, and all of this. So the conversation will have different specific meanings in different places, but this is a big global conversation. So when a brand who addresses itself to women wants to come in and build extra value in its brand, it doesn't just end the conversation with its product. It starts the conversation and uses its product and its brand message as the starting point to springboard into a bigger cultural conversation. So Always, from P&G, says explicitly, we're kicking off an epic battle. Now this is heroic talk, and it's a big statement of intent. This is what they're doing.
My mom always said I was born with sneakers on my feet. I have two older brothers, and they played football, so I would always go to their practices, and at the end of their practices, I'd always pick up the ball and throw with a friend, or even with my brothers. A lot of the coaches thought that I stood out, and even the dads came up to me and be like, oh, you got an arm, you should really try out for football. When I first went to the first practice, my coach actually got us all in a circle and was like, obviously we have a female on the team, but we're going to treat her like a football player and treat her like everybody else. They have said that I throw like a girl, and in a way I take that as a compliment, because yeah, I throw like a girl because I am a girl. And I throw with power and dedication, so I take that as a compliment when they say I throw like a girl. I want to be noticed for my hard work and talent, not just my ponytails. And I really just wanted to do what I love, and I really love the sport.
I think that deserves a round of applause, absolutely. Let's make Like a Girl mean something different in a wider cultural context. That's worthy of applause, and I think that's making that brand mean a lot more to people. Great stuff. Congratulations, P&G. Yeah, give them another round of applause. So, passions, conversations, and I talked about trends as well. The world moves fast. We're in a world of real-time marketing. Look what happens in the World Cup. Yesterday, you saw an example from my colleague of Nike serving you up advertising within 10 seconds of a goal being scored. Already that 10 seconds starts to feel like a very long time. The world reacts very fast to stuff that's going on in real time. So again, as brands, as businesses, it's important to be able to move very fast in a fast-moving and interconnected world. So you need to be able to react fast to cultural trends. So there's two questions there. One is, how do we find out what the trends are in the first place? And then how do we react? How do we respond? And how do we organize ourselves so that we're systematically set up to respond and find the answers to those two questions? Let me give you an example from the UK here. This is a YouTube channel powered by Unilever. You don't see a Unilever brand on here. All things hair. So, as it says on the can, they want to be all things about hair to women in the UK. Your go-to place, got a question about hair, want to find inspiration about hair, all things about hair, this is your one-stop shop. So they've partnered with a bunch of YouTube creators who are relevant and authentic to young women in the UK who have got big subscriber bases. And they've got all of this video content there you can see as I scroll down about different fashions. They've got some interactivity and some polls, which they're using to find out what people are thinking about hair and so on. Let me draw your attention to, oops, sorry, get the pointer thing. This one, not that one, to this one. Get the London Fashion Week look. Vivienne Westwood, the classic sweep, the question of the moment. How do they know it's the question of the moment? Well, you don't have to spend months and millions of dollars doing focus groups to get the answers. There's some very easy ways nowadays. Simply free, real-time. This is just asking Google, what's the world looking for in hair care? You see that big spike in the middle? That's the week of the 14th to the 20th of October. Hair trends, London Fashion Week, Vivienne Westwood. So it's very easy. This ain't rocket science. This is very easy. Even I can do it. To go and find out what are the world looking for in hair trends. The answer's there. It's free and it's instantaneous. So that first question about how do we find out what the trends are has dramatically become really easy. So that's 14th to the 20th of October, that big spike. On the 22nd of October, in my maths that's 2 days later, this content goes out.
Hi everyone, today I want to create a look that's been inspired by the Vivienne Westwood Red Label catwalk, which is actually the 2015 Spring-Summer catwalk, so this is a little bit ahead of the game, I suppose you could say. And all of the girls on the catwalk had slightly different hair that reflected their personalities. Mark Hampton, who is the global ambassador for...
So she goes on for 4 minutes talking about the London Fashion Week and telling you how to get exactly that look within 2 days. Pretty nicely produced, very professional content from the YouTube creator, answering the specific question that the world is asking. That's a pretty quick turnaround. Try doing that on TV today. So via those examples, I hope I've tried to illustrate the 3 points I mentioned there. Reaching your audience via their passions. YouTube is about people's passions. Be part of those cultural conversations. And act and react fast. Set yourselves up to act and react fast to cultural trends. Those would be my 3 takeaways for you on this cultural filter of YouTube and brand building, if you like. Now, I started off with Will Reed in his bathroom in the UK, and I think he's actually done a fairly good job about understanding passions and conversations and trends and what's relevant to him in his family context. So he's doing a pretty good job there. But he hasn't counted on his teenage daughter, Beth. And Beth, I think, disagrees with Will. Let's hear what Beth has to say.
Hi, I'm Will's daughter, Beth. As fun as it is watching my dad's instructional videos about my bad habits, I thought I'd take a little tour in my parents' bathroom. Okay? Now I want you to gaze upon the scene. Here we have a full loo roll, and here we have an empty loo roll. Okay? Now, most of you know my dad made a video about changing the loo roll. Didn't help you there, did it, Dad? Okay. Now, let's run through a few instructions, okay? Listen up, Dad. Loo roll holder, okay? They share the same name, put them together, okay? That goes there. The advanced level is to stop making videos about me, okay? And to stop being hypocritical, okay? Caught you there, didn't I, Dad?
So thank you very much to Beth for taking part in that cultural conversation. I hope that's been useful to you. I hope you've enjoyed some of the examples I've brought along to share. I'll be over in the corner there to answer any questions if you have any. Thank you very much for your attention.